PRU DUN ke-15 ended in a return to the political status quo. Lesser-known senator appointed as Pakistan's caretaker Prime Minister. Assalamualaikum, good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Otto Othman for updates at noon. Now, the state polls yesterday ended in a return to the political status quo, according to the Election Commission, as it officially announced that the Pakatan Harapan Barisan Nasional Coalition has managed to return to Selangor, Negeri Sembilan and Pulau Pinang. EC Chairman Tan Sri Abdul Ghani Saleh said Perikatan Nasional PN also managed to retain Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu. EC said Terengganu recorded the highest voter turnout among the 6 states with 74.79%. This followed by Kedah with 73.86%, Penang with 72.67%, Selangor 72%, Negeri Sembilan 68.35% and Kelantan 60.96%. Also held simultaneously with the 6 state elections was the Kuala Terengganu parliamentary by-election, which recorded a voter turnout of 73.34%. The unity government's success in retaining power in Selangor, Negeri Sembilan and Pulau Pinang was the result of cooperation among component parties, including from Sabah and Sarawak, which have also given the support. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the poll's outcome was an expression of the people's decision to the country's democratic system, and it should be respected and accepted. He also reminded all parties, both the winners and losers, to maintain goodwill in preserving the country's peace and to focus on upholding the country's dignity and protecting the people's well-being.
Setelah bertarung sungguh-sungguh, kadang-kadang suhunya agak panas, ini waktunya semua rakyat dari semua parti menang atau kalah harus bersilaturahim. Oleh kerajaan perpaduan, saya ingin beri jaminan terutama kepada persekutuan yang terus kekal dan kukuh. Kita akan terus berterus bekerja, berkhidmat sesuai dengan hasrat kita membangun Malaysia madani supaya Malaysia akan mencipta kejayaan yang dibanggakan.
He said the unity government is determined to continue working diligently to fulfill the needs of the people, as expressed by the results of the 6 state elections and the Kuala Terengganu parliamentary by-election. The Prime Minister also said that this administration would stay strong in line with the aspiration to develop Malaysia Madani and the Madani economy policy. The combined victory of Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional in the Selangor state election is proof of the people's recognition of PH and BN cooperation. Now, State PH Chairman Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari said the decision also showed that the newly formed collaboration was accepted by the people to be entrusted with the continuity of the administration of the state government. He also thanked all the voters for ensuring that the newly formed unity team could sink and fought off the green wave, which had been manipulated since February 2020. He said the win also proves that the Selangor people have chosen unity for the sake of stability and prosperity. Datuk Seri Amiruddin also thanked the Election Commission staff, enforcement personnel and civil servants for their commitment in ensuring the smooth process of the polling day. In the polls, PHBN won 34 seats, while Perikatan Nasional managed 22 seats. In the meantime, Datuk Seri Amiruddin, who is also Menteri Besar, said the PHBN coalition is ready to form the Selangor Unity Government to implement all the pledges in the manifesto announced recently. Meanwhile, PH and BN coalition is considering to file petitions to invalidate the results of several state seats won by PN in the Selangor state elections yesterday. Datuk Seri Amiruddin said the seats included those won by very thin majorities, such as Dengkil, with a vote of majority of 407, Sungai Kandis 167, Gombak Setia 58 and Taman Medan 30. Besides thin majorities, Datuk Seri Amiruddin said he was also informed that there were several issues that could be considered as among the reasons to launch petitions, including unreturned ballot papers in Sungai Kandis. He added that the coalition's lawyers would conduct further reviews on the cases for consideration. The BH-BN alliance in Negeri Sembilan also won the state election in style, picking up 31 of 36 seats. State BH Chairman Datuk Seri Aminuddin Harun said, with hard work and solid support from the leadership of all parties involved, BH managed to win 17 seats, while BN won 14 seats, even though the two were rivals in the past elections.
Terima kasih kepada pengundi yang telah keluar mengundi pada hari ini 12 hari bulan Ogos 2023 yang telah membuat keputusan, dan Alhamdulillah saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada pengundi yang terus memberikan sokongan dan memastikan kemenangan daripada Pakatan Harapan.
He added that the alliance would conduct a post-mortem to identify what led to their defeat in the 5 state seats of Labu, Paroi, Bagan Pinang, Gemas and Serting. Datuk Seri Aminuddin retained the Sikamat state seat for the 4th term, garnering 12,730 votes to defeat Ahmad Raihan Muhammad Hilal from PN, who got 10,068 votes, as well as 2 independent candidates, Bujang Abu and Muhammad Hafiz Baharuddin. BN Deputy Chairman Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan has also retained his Rantau seat in the state elections with 10,280 vote majority. Based on the results released by the Election Commission, the Defence Minister garnered 16,957 votes, defeating PN candidate who is also Rembau PAS Deputy President Rosmal Malakan, who obtained 6,677 votes. The Rembau Member of Parliament, who was the Negeri Sembilan Menteri Besar from 2004 to 2018, has held the Rantau state seat since 2004. Meantime, Tengku Zamrah Tengku Sulaiman of PH has beaten the odds and claimed victory in the Ampangan state seat. Official results showed Tengku Zamrah polled 6,054 votes to defeat the 2 other contenders, including Datuk Dr. Muhammad Rafi Abdul Malik, who sought to defend the seat as an independent. Rafi, who had been sacked from PKR, only garnered 3,079 votes. The other contender, Muhammad Ghazali Zainal Abidin of PN, obtained 5,725 votes. Chow Kun Yeow has sworn in as Pulau Pinang's 5th Chief Minister before the Yang di-Pertua Negeri Tun Ahmad Fuzi Abdul Razak at Sri Mutiara this morning. This will be his 2nd consecutive term as the Chief Minister of the state after assuming the office back in 2018. The 65-year-old retained his Padang Kota N26 State Assembly seat for 4th consecutive times with 8,261 votes. In yesterday's state elections, the Pulau Pinang Pakatan Harapan Barisan Nasional Coalition won 29 out of 40 state assembly seats contested, giving them a simple majority to form the state government. Also present at the ceremony were former Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng, Secretary to the State Government Datuk Muhammad Sayuti Baka, as well as BN and PKR's top leaders. PN has succeeded in forming the state government in Kedah after winning 33 out of 36 seats in the state poll. PH, on the other hand, won the remaining 3 seats in Kota Darul Aman, Bakar Arang and Sidam. Kedah PN Chairman, who is also PN Elections Director, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Muhammad Noor, led the victory of the coalition comprising PAS, Bersatu and Gerakan after winning the January seat in the contest against Datuk Muhammad Khirzi Abu Qasim of BN. The total number of seats won by PN in the state polls this time was greater than the 15 seats won by PAS in the 14th general election when it contested solo. BN, which won 3 seats in GE14, namely Sungai Tiang, Gua Cempedak, and Bandar Baharu, lost all 15 seats contested in the state polls this time around. foreign front. 6 killed when a migrant boat capsized. Stay tuned. A senator from Pakistan's least populous province was named as caretaker prime minister on Saturday to see the country through to an election due in months. Anwar al-Haq Kakar from Balochistan province takes on a country that has been wrecked by political and economic instability for months, with Imran Khan, the country's most popular politician, in jail. Kaka was confirmed by President Arif Alvi as the choice of the outgoing coalition government, led by Shehbaz Sharif and opposition leader Raja Riaz Ahmad. Kakar, 52, will lead Pakistan through to general and provincial elections due by November. Pakistan Parliament was officially dissolved on Wednesday, with elections due within 90 days, according to the Constitution. However, there has been speculation for months that they would be delayed as the establishment grapples to stabilize a country facing overlapping security, economic and political crisis. The country has been in political turmoil since former international cricket star Imran Khan was dismissed as premier by a no-confidence vote in April 2022. He has been disqualified from standing for office for 5 years, but is appealing against his sentence and conviction. Authorities have cracked down hard against Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-Insaf PTI party in recent months, crushing his grassroots power by rounding up thousands of his supporters and officials. 6 Afghan males in their 30s died when a migrant boat heading to Britain sank in the Channel early Saturday as search continued to find those still missing. Deputy Public Prosecutor for the French coastal city of Bologna said 49 survivors, who were mostly adults with some minors, were rescued by French Coast Guard and their British counterparts. The French Coastal Authority Terima said up to 2 people were listed as missing on Saturday afternoon, after the prosecutor's office had initially said between 5 and 10 passengers were unaccounted for. 3 French ships, a helicopter and a plane were mobilized to search the area of Sangatte in northern France, along with 2 British ships. More than 100,000 migrants have crossed the Channel on small boats from France to southeast England since 2018. On Thursday, it was reported that 116 migrants had been rescued, including children, on 3 separate boats. Some 755 migrants were detected on Thursday on 14 small boats headed for England's southern coast, bringing the number of arrivals so far this year to nearly 16,000. The channel between France and Britain is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes, and strong currents are common. 3 people, including a 7-month-old baby, died after a minibus with Polish license plates drove off a bridge on an Austrian highway on Saturday. Firefighters in the town of Gawinstol were alerted to the incident at 7:15 a.m. local time. It is believed that the vehicle drove through the railing of a bridge, rolled over and came to rest on the road running underneath the highway. They said the 7-month-old and its grandparents were killed in the crash, and the other passengers, 2 adults and 2 children, are being treated in local hospitals. The nationality of the passengers of the vehicle is unclear, but Poland's Deputy Foreign Minister Paweł Jablonski told private broadcaster Polsat they were likely Ukrainian, based on information Poland had received from Austrian authorities. A state of emergency was declared and evacuations ordered in parts of Russia's Far East and northern China on Saturday after heavy downpours flooded villages in the aftermath of Typhoon Kanun. After lashing southern Japan, Kanun weakened to a tropical depression as it crossed into North Korea on Friday from South Korea. In the Russian Far East, a region in the easternmost part of Russia and the Asian continent, 32 settlements were cut off, 543 houses and large stretches of roads were flooded. It was forecasted that some areas of the region will experience twice the amount of normal monthly rainfall through the weekend. Meanwhile, relief efforts are in full swing in flood-hit regions in northeast and North China. The rains brought about by Kanun have damaged roads, bridges, and crops in some villages and towns, prompting emergency rescuers and repairs. A total of 240 working groups have been stationed in the disaster-stricken villages to assist efforts in sanitation, epidemic prevention, and disinfection. Local government has dispatched large-scale pumping facilities to carry out 24-hour water drainage operation Guyu village after more than 133 hectares of corn submerged in water. Heavy precipitation is expected in parts of Dandong City in northeast China's Liaoning province. Local weather department on Saturday afternoon issued an orange warning and raised the flood control emergency response to level 2. A total of 54 reservoirs in the city have discharged water in advance to brace for the possible flood water. Up next, underwhelming debut for Kane as Leipzig stunned Bayern. That and more in our foreign segment. Kicking off our sports segment today, RB Leipzig's Dani Olmo scored a hat-trick to guide them to a 3-0 victory in the German Super Cup over champions Bayern Munich, snatching the spotlight from record signing Harry Kane and spoiling his debut for the Bavarians. England captain Kane had signed a 4-year deal amid a media frenzy only hours earlier and made a substitute appearance in the second half. However, the former Spurs forward could not prevent a season-opening defeat against the German Cup winners. With Bayern wasteful up front, squandering half a dozen chances, coach Thomas Tuchel brought on Kane, whose transfer cost a reported Bundesliga record of 100 million euros in the 64th minute to huge cheers from Bayern fans. He hardly got a look in, however, with only 3 touches, and it was Olmo who scored again, this time with a penalty only 4 minutes later to secure the first title of the season for his team. Co-host Australia surged into their first Women's World Cup semi-final after a heart-stopping 7-6 penalty shootout win against France. With the two sides locked at 0-0 after 120 minutes, it all came down to Australia's Courtney Vine, and she coolly converted the winning kick to send the Brisbane crowd into raptures. It ended a remarkable drama-filled shootout that saw both teams take 10 penalties. In front of a sellout crowd of more than 50,000, Australia's victory was achieved despite Sam Kerr again being left on the bench at a kickoff. The talismanic Matilda's captain, now fit after calf injury, came on early in the second half and duly converted her penalty in the shootout. There is a growing sense of optimism and expectation in Australia that their team could go all the way.
I'm going to be honest, I think my belief that this team can do anything have been there even before tonight. And it sounds maybe silly to sit here and say it after a win, right? But I think you've all heard me say it so many times. And I genuinely really believe that this team can do great history in so many ways, not just winning football games, but the way that they can inspire the next generation, how they can unite a nation, how they can leave a legacy that is much bigger than 90-minute football.
Moving on, England showed great resilience and togetherness to come back from a goal down to beat Colombia 2-1 and reach the Women's World Cup semi-finals. The Lionesses conceded in the 44th minute to a cross shot from Lacey Santos, but equalized in first half stoppage time and went ahead through Alicia Russo after the hour mark to complete the turnaround and set up a last 4 meeting with Australia. It was the first time the Wigman's side had trailed in this tournament, and no other team had progressed from the kickouts after conceding until the Lionesses dug deep and roared their way back. Wigman also praised opponents Colombia playing in their first World Cup quarter-final and said England had to be alert to deal with their counter-attack threat. The South Americans, runners-up in last year's Copa America, were roared on by a loud and large contingent of fans in the over 70,000-strong crowd at the Stadium Australia. With dazzling young players such as 18-year-old Linda Caicedo, Colombia captured the imagination of football fans in the tournament. Australia's Alex de Minaur overcame blustery conditions to secure a breakthrough 6-1, 6-3 victory over Spain's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina at the Canadian Open and reached the first Masters 1000 final of his career. Dimino, who was fresh off an upset over second seed Daniil Medvedev, delivered a simple game plan in rather tricky conditions, while Davidovich Fokina struggled to find any rhythm throughout the 78-minute match. Dimino wasted no time setting the tone against Davidovich Fokina as he broke the Spaniard twice on his way to a 5-1 lead before serving out the opening set on his first opportunity. The 24-year-old Australian maintained the pressure as he broke Davidovich Fokina 4 times to build a 5-2 lead in the second before sealing the match with his 7th break. Up next for Dimino, who until this week had never before reached the quarterfinals of a Masters 1000 event, will be a clash with either Italian 7th seed Yannick Sinner or 12th seeded American Tommy Paul. In women's, Jessica Pegula beat world number 1 Iga Swiatek 6-2, 6-7, 6-4 to reach the Canadian Open final in Montreal, where she will face either Elena Rybakina or Ludmila Samsonova. American world number 3 Pegula, playing in her 3rd consecutive Canadian Open semi-final, broke Swiatek's serve 11 times and managed her way through the big moments of the match better than the 4 times Grand Slams winner. Neither player was able to defend their serve until Pegula held to love for a 4-2 lead, and the American followed that by going up a double break before producing a pair of aces to close out the first set on her next service game. Swiatek looked to have settled into a groove as she opened the second set with her first service hold of the day, followed by a pair of breaks for a 3-1 lead. Pegula, however, clawed back and opened up a 5-4 lead after breaking Swiatek for the 8th time, but was unable to serve out the match as the Pole leveled the frame before going on to force the decider. Swiatek won the first 8 points of the 3rd set to build a 2-love lead, but Pegula kept cool and twice came back from a breakdown en route to securing one of the biggest wins of her career. From scientific breakthrough to adoring animal and mesmerizing stories, let's dive into the wonderful and colorful stories from around the world in our world around us. Researchers at the Purdue University in Indiana have developed what is being dubbed as the whitest paint ever. The paint has the potential to significantly reduce energy consumption from air conditioning units by reflecting sunlight back into space and effectively cooling buildings and structures, the researchers say. The formulation is based on barium sulfate. It can reflect 98.1% of sunlight that would cool outdoor surfaces more than 4.5 degrees Celsius below ambient temperature. The material boasts a unique ultra-white color, outshining any conventional white paint, which can drastically reduce the absorption of sunlight and heat. The key ingredient in the paint is a high concentration of barium sulfate, a compound widely available and commonly used as a pigment in paints. Unlike previous attempts at creating ultra-white paints, this newly developed formula does not rely on expensive and rare materials, making it scalable for mass production. A new formulation of the paint that is thinner and lighter to radiate heat away from vehicles is also in development, though it will have a higher cost. A koala named Matilda has predicted that Australia will beat France in Saturday's Women's World Cup quarter-final at Brisbane Stadium. During the 4 hours a day when they're not sleeping, koalas like Matilda are usually focused on choosing which eucalyptus tree to snack on. But the young Joey was tasked with making a far more important choice on Thursday. Koala Matilda woke from her 20-hour-long sleep and went with her eucalyptus-filled gut when making the choice between sitting next to an Australian scarf or French scarf in her enclosure at the Kurumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. The sanctuary named the koala Matilda just 2 days before the co-host match against Canada, and she's proven to be a lucky charm as Tony Gustafsson's side won the match with 4-0 and followed it up with a 2-0 victory over Denmark in the round of 16. The baby koala was born at Kurumbin Wildlife Sanctuary on the Gold Coast 12 months ago as part of a captive breed and release conservation program. Newly weaned from her mother, Carers at the sanctuary expect she will soon join the program to help protect the future of the endangered species. Playtime doesn't stop for a baby elephant in a video released by the Zoological Society of London for the World Elephant Day on Saturday. The 11-month-old Asian elephant Nang Paya was caught on a night vision camera playing with a toy in the dark at Wismade Zoo's Centre for Elephant Care. The cameras have been installed to monitor the herd at night, which is vital for both their care and for the zoo's scientists and conservationists working with wild Asian elephants. The zoo northwest of London homes 7 Asian elephants, including a male, 5 females, and Nang Paya. Hundreds of hot air balloons took over the skies from Friday above the English city of Bristol for its annual ballooning event. The 4-day Bristol International Balloon Fiesta, which has grown into Europe's largest free hot air balloon festival, sees balloonists from all over the country and abroad take part. Hundreds of fans flocked to the city in England's southwest to see the balloons ascent. The festival was due to start on Thursday but was cancelled due to adverse weather conditions. The medieval fortress above Prizren, Kosovo, is among the venues that host Doku Fest, a film festival that has become one of the country's biggest cultural events. The festival has been showcasing global shorts and documentaries since 2002, connecting local youth restricted from traveling abroad. Kosovars need visas to travel to EU countries, and Kosovo only recognized by around 110 other nations. DocuFest boasts 5 open-air cinemas that harmonize with the town's rich cultural heritage near religious sites. Screens stand on the fortresses by the Ottoman-era Sinan Pasha Mosque and on a platform over the Lombardy River. This edition offers 200-plus documentaries and films representing nations like Colombia, Tanzania, Britain, Canada, and the U.S., all focusing on artificial intelligence this year. Lebanese-American filmmaker Jude Shahab presents Q, narrating the impact of a secretive Lebanese religious order on the women in her family. Shahab believes documentary makers remain secure from AI's influence as their authenticity is unmatched. And with that, we reach the end of today's updates at noon. A recap of our leading story today. PRU Dun ke-15 ended in a return to the political status quo, with each coalition retains 3 states. Now, do join us again at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Salon Berita RTM for more news. Till then, I'm Otto Othman. Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan, penuhi harapan.